In 1860, William Margrave was a 37-year-old blacksmith living in the quiet town of Saline, Illinois. He had deep roots in the community. Back in 1843, he married his teenage sweetheart, Elizabeth, and they spent the next 2 decades building a life together. By the time the new decade arrived, that life included 3 children, John, Lucinda, and Elizabeth, with a 4th on the way. Their days were defined by a quiet stability. William secured his family's future locally, creating it stroke by stroke at the anvil. When the Civil War broke out, William abandoned his trade to sign the muster roll. This August 1861 Adjutant General's report lists him in Company E of the 29th Illinois Infantry. His residence is clearly marked as Saline City, enlisting directly from his hometown. At 36, William was significantly older than the average recruit. He was an established father walking away from a pregnant wife and 3 young children. In a matter of days, his entire existence inverted. He traded a quiet life of local, deliberate creation for the massive, industrial-scale destruction massing in the Western theater. The Union's advance and the 29th Illinois' path relied on the strategic river networks of the Western theater. In early 1862, the regiment moved down the Tennessee River, facing their first real combat test at Fort Henry. Just days later, the violence escalated at Fort Donelson. The fighting was confined to dense, muddy thickets, trapping men in a disorienting inferno of close-quarters combat. The 29th Illinois entered that thicket with an effective fighting strength of just 400 men. This chart captures the grim mathematics of the next 2 days. The regiment's numbers dropped sharply, losing another 100 men, an astonishing 25% casualty rate in a single engagement. It is exactly here, inside that steep statistical drop, that William Margrave fell severely wounded. For the casualties at Shiloh, surviving the battlefield was only the first hurdle. Their next challenge was a painful and precarious medical evacuation. Here we see a U.S. Navy hospital riverboat. Thousands of wounded men, including William, were loaded onto massive industrial-scale vessels like this for the grueling logistical journey northward to military hospitals in St. Louis, Missouri. He fought for his life in that hospital system for over a month before finally succumbing to his wounds on May 12, 1862. Today, he rests in this anonymous expanse of identical white headstones at Jefferson Barracks, alongside thousands of other casualties. Back in the military bureaucracy, his sacrifice was quietly processed. Returning to the Adjutant General's ledger, the husband and father is reduced to a single sterile line item of collateral damage. Meanwhile, back in Saline, the news eventually reached his 36-year-old widow, Elizabeth. Look at this timeline entry from later that same year. Elizabeth gave birth to their final child, a son she named William Beaufort Margrave, a boy carrying a dead man's name, who would never know his father. And here is the tragic paperwork required for that shattered family to survive, a stark 1863 index card showing Elizabeth formally filing for a widow's pension. The history books record Shiloh as a crucial strategic victory for the Union. In reality, it was a localized catastrophe. The battle hollowed out Midwestern towns like Saline, leaving behind silent forges and young widows forced to raise a fractured generation entirely on their own.